special day. It is Aurobind's birthday, and the deeper significance Aurobind has for all of us. The city the world needs, Mother says, and it's created for human unity, the ideal city, Aurobindo city. And we, as sadhaks and children of Mother Aurobindo, we have to live the ideals of Aurobind as stated in the charter, right? And we are starting a beautiful series on this special day, Science of Living. Many of you would have read it earlier, but we are going to deep dive into this over several sessions, and Sharada will take us through that. Little something about Sharada. So Sharada has been in the presence of Mother Aurobindo constantly since her childhood. So she studied in Sri Aurobindo International School and always surrounded by Mother Sri Aurobindo's presence. And they try to replicate the Pondicherry ashram, right, in terms of the look and feel and the experience and everything. So she's grown up in that kind of environment. And Mother Sri Aurobindo has guided her, supported her journey like how they have supported all of us. And Science of Living is something extremely dear to her. It's a message which came directly to her and it's transformed the way she used to look at things. So she was a version bit different before she read Science of Living, and after Mother's force and power, the joy that and living like in little bits, how much ever we can. So she's going to take us through this journey of Science of Living. Little bit of what she does professionally. So Sharada basically works with leaders, different organizations, startups to enable growth and transformation through conscious leadership, organizational design, through a people-centric approach. So she was telling me the other day her work involves observing people from where they are coming from what is triggering the decisions. So, like many aspects of Science of Living she's implementing in her work. So we will take it forward now, and Sharada will take us through this journey for a few weeks. Over to you, Sharada.
Good evening. Like what Archana had said, Science of Living has been a part of life. I first came across this article almost 2006, 17, 18. I just happened to be given this article. It's a very short, if you read it in 5 minutes, it will be done. At that point, I didn't realize the treasure that I was given. Over years, this article traveled with me. Over years, when Sri Aurobindo says all life is yoga, I was questioning that very statement. If all life is yoga, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to look at life? I had these questions from my childhood, and all those have been answered so very easily and so very simply by mother in this particular article. This article is a part of Combined Works of Mother, volume 12, where the whole volume is on education. Before I come to that, we have copies of the article, and after the talk, the copies are there. Please, anyone who is interested in going through it, please take it from there. Sri Aurobindo, in Letters of Yoga 1, he talks about knowledge, right? Why are we after knowledge? Why the whole Jnana Yoga part? Here he says, it is not by thinking out, in quotes, thinking out the entire reality, but by a change of consciousness, right, that one can pass from ignorance to knowledge. How do we pass from ignorance to knowledge is what happens in the science of living. But again he continues saying, the knowledge by which we become what we know. It is not just about acquiring knowledge, and actually in another place he says, you cannot acquire knowledge. Knowledge is in its plane. We tap into that plane where knowledge enters us and changes us. So, if knowledge cannot be converted into action, what is the point of just reading and knowing? So, it is the consciousness that has to shift, we have to shift, and where is the proof of it? Where are we actually using it? Where can we see it? Is in life, in every small aspect of life. If that knowledge which we are gaining is not able to change us in the minutest and the most trivial aspect of life, then what is the whole objective of learning? So, that is where the whole journey had started, by questioning what does Sri Aurobindo mean when he said all life is yoga, and how do we actually, do we come to the bhavan, or do we in the morning when we sit for the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, and then we are meditating or reading, and our sadhana is done in that bracket of our life, and then outside life we are swayed and influenced by everything that is being thrown at us, or we are into it. So, when I was looking at which aspect this particular article was addressing, I came across the volume 12. Till about 3 months back, I had the article with me. I printed it out, or it was in my laptop, but I did not see it in its entirety. When I opened the volume 12 in the library, it is a part of, I mean, I knew it was a part of On Education, but I did not realize that it is the whole volume is on education, and this article is the first one. That even before mother talked about education, she talked about how to live, right. So, education, the first line that she writes, the article on education, the education of a human being should begin at birth and continue throughout life. She starts her article on education with this statement, and what is preceding this particular statement is the science of living, right. Even before you think at birth of education, I mean, in the article on education she also says maybe education should in fact start before birth. So, when I again was very curious about the very phrasing that she put, the science of living. We are just living and we go about, this is who I am, this is my style of doing it, this is what I do. So, there is this definition that we have for ourselves, but and then as we go through life, events happen, incidents happen. how can this become a science was, I mean, it was very wonderfully put, the phrasing itself of the science of living. And somebody had in another conversation with Satprim, she was talking about how philosophy should be given to people, where she is talking about how he should write a book, and then she incidentally mentions this particular article, and she says a book like that written in the simplest way possible, and she says, like I wrote the science of living, you speak to people in their language. So, these were the small things which were coming across, and here it is all in the simplest form, irrespective of whether we are on the spiritual path or not, irrespective of somebody is doing the sadhana or not, irrespective of whether they are followers of Mother or Sri Aurobindo or the integral path or not. It is, she says, these 15 articles are for everybody, particularly those who are on the material plane of life, where we are still living in the material world. We have to go after the material aspects. That is the whole objective of life. We can't simply say today, however much we love to do it, that I am going to let go of all this, move off to Pondicherry, the secret desire, or stay, go to Auroville and just stay. Subah se sham tak we will go have breakfast in the dining hall, like have early morning meditation, breakfast in the dining hall, somebody is taking care of our food, somebody is taking care of cleaning the room and everything, and like the days that I am in Pondi, that is the most blissful time, where you just go and everything else is taken care. All you have to do is go wherever it is comfortable, sit and do your meditation, be with the mother, think. But once we come back, nobody likes it, right? Or when we are, as long as we are in the bhavan, it is very nice. But the moment we go back home, or the moment we take the vehicle and go out of the gate, immediately there is an auto which comes across, or the bike which comes across, and then we are irritated how they are going in the wrong direction, or irritated why are they honking so much, why can't they follow traffic rules, etc. So, yes, we are holding on here, we are interiorized, internalized, we are completely conscious when we are in the lap of this calmness, but the moment we go out, everything is again melting around us. And that is exactly what she said she wants to address. The 15 articles in this particular set are for the very people who are living life on that material plane. We have those material objectives, we have those material ideals, and it is not about philosophy, it is just, she writes very well, to put into ordinary terms the whole yogic terminology, and for people who are primarily interested in a purely physical material life, but who try to attain more perfection in their physical life than is usually in the ordinary conditions. And that is our life. We can't, no matter how much we would love to, go away. And here she says, what the purpose of all this, why she is simplifying the whole yogic philosophy down to the material level is, what we want is that humanity should progress. Whether it professes to lead a yogic life or not matters little, but humanity should progress, provided it makes the necessary effort for progress. Then my question happened, yes, we have, the intention of progress is there, we want to progress, we want to grow in consciousness, we want to have the samatha, the equanimity everywhere with everyone. But the moment we see the report card of the child or a grandchild, we get irritated. The moment the teacher starts complaining, we get irritated. The moment our colleagues don't give us the information that we need, we are irritated, and that is not the yoga that Sri Aurobindo was talking about. So, my immediate question, seeing every day is, help me, give me in a simplistic term what I should do. When there is a person behind in traffic jam, not able to see, but still honking the horn so much that it is irritating. We will turn and get irritated. Somebody is coming and cutting us off in traffic, we will be irritated. At that point, there is somebody who is like, we are trying to discuss ideas, but are refusing to even listen, and we have to still work with them or still live with them, right. So, in all these questions, so there when I found this particular article, it's beautiful. I'll take you through this, the summary of it, how she gives exercises, practical exercises, exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, how to master yourself in different planes. So, somebody had asked her, the byline, if you see for the article, The Science of Living, the subtitle is to know oneself and to control oneself. And during question answers, one of the disciples over there, I don't know whether it's a disciple or a student, they asked, what does this mean? The science of living is good, but knowing and controlling oneself, what does this mean? And she says very nicely, it means to be conscious of one's inner truth, conscious of the different parts of our being and what are the functions of each of these different parts. So, if you know why you are doing this, then automatically you are capable of being the best self of yourself. And she said, even when you are what is called old, when you are quite aged, it is not too late to make the effort to know yourself better. And then, not just better, she said, to know yourself better and better. And then control yourself better and better. And that is the science of living. The whole science of living is simply put in 2 words. Do I know myself and can I control myself? And how this article goes, just it's like 5-6 minute quick read, right. It starts with the aim, she says, an aimless life is always a miserable life. However, when we go down into depth, when somebody asked her a question, the amount of explanation that she had given on each and every single word that she wrote in this short article, it is amazing. So, she starts with how all of us should have an aim, the article starts with that, and just 3 very short sentences and everything about aim is done. For us to have the aim and achieve the aim, then she talks about how we should be perfect. But perfection is such an umbrella term. What do we even mean by perfection? Aim is such an umbrella term. What do we even mean by an aim, right? And there she talks in 2 parts, 2 steps. One step for perfection is know the different parts and unify all those parts. And by unifying them, you will have to learn how to perfect this instrument that is given to us to go through life, right. So, aim, how it should be, then to achieve the aim, how you should be perfect. Then the next part says perfection is not just, she did not leave it at a vague way. She said there is a 4-fold discipline. You cannot be perfect until unless you are disciplined. But the discipline is also, she is given a 4-fold method for a discipline. We will go into each one. And once we have the aim, we are achieving perfection to achieve the aim. But to achieve the perfection, we have to have discipline in 4 folds. That is when all our parts harmonize, and once all the parts harmonize, we then have the ability to perceive the truth of ourselves. Forget truth of the whole conscious truth of the universe, or her in her Virat Swarupam, the consciousness of that, forget that. Even the truth of ourselves, for us to perceive who we are, we need to harmonize all our different parts. So, when Archana asked me, can we do this in one talk? I said, that article seems small, but for us to dive into each aspect, it becomes very difficult, because we are talking of our entire life, we are talking of who we are, the different planes we exist in, the different parts we exist in. That is why this is turned out, after a series, it turns out into a series of conversations, become a series of talks, and we will see where it goes. So, right now we have planned 3 parts. Let us not keep it as just a regular talk, because it is life. I've experienced life over the last few years through this article. I would love to know your views and let it be a conversation that we have rather than just listen and then be in that bubble, go out the moment we hit traffic or we hit home, and then we suddenly forget, oh, we are supposed to have dinner, what is there for dinner, what is everything, and then all this kind of dissipates. So, I wish we could have this back and forth. So, I will start with, today we will look at only what she meant by the aim and the different, why she said we should have an aim, if that's okay, right. So, all of us would have started somewhere. We are not in that place where we are just starting life. So, when we first started life, what was our aim for our career, our life, or aim for whatever we were doing all these years? Can you think back to what was your aim when you first started off in the adult journey? All of us are asked, right? As a child in school, I remember still, we were asked, what do you want to become once you grow up? Right? And that is when the kernel of the aim starts. What did you have as an aim?
I wanted to become a good human being.
So wide, wide and generous. So you've already ticked one box of an aim. What is the first aim that you ever remember? I don't.
I should be a good instrument in divine hand, so that I can do good to the society.
You should be a good instrument in the divine hands to do good to the society. Wow. I'm like, all your aims are literally there. We don't need the science of living anymore. Okay. And these two very quickly tick off our boxes. What she said is, an aimless life is always a miserable life. But then somebody asked her, why did she say that? Let me read these 3 lines and then we will go diving deeper into each part. An aimless life is always a miserable life. Every one of you should have an aim, but do not forget that on the quality of your aim will depend the quality of your life. Your aim should be high and wide, generous and disinterested. This will make your life precious to yourself and to others. Just 3 short sentences and she just completed everything about an aim. So, before we go into the aim, let us go into understanding the byline, right? To know oneself and to control oneself. Then she follows it with aim. I want to ask, how many times have you asked this question to somebody saying, all of us love sweets, right, or love chocolates. Did you ever ask a child, why do you love chocolates? For a person who has a sweet tooth, why do you love sweets? Or if you love the color blue, why do you love blue? What did you ever ask that? To any child, why do you like chocolates? I don't know, I just like chocolates, right? At that, when just you saw the notice, Archana said that Saturday is this talk and you have decided to come. If I ask you right now, why did, at that point, what were you thinking when you saw the post and you decided to come? I don't know. It seemed interesting, I came. There are a lot of these questions. If we start asking ourselves why, I mean that is my favorite word, and people who are surrounded, I mean whether it's my family, the biggest victims of my whys, series of whys are my husband and my daughter and my clients. I give them a statutory warning, you want to work with me, you have to have patience with my questions, because why is my favorite word. You tend to know so much about the situation, so much about the person from just the reason why people do what they do, reason why people think how they think, right. So, can we ask ourselves why we are the way we are? And mother was explaining this to somebody who said, why this particular statement? And she said, most of the time we have no clue why we are the way we are, where these influences come from. We are, as a being, as humans, irrespective of whether we are on the spiritual path or the logical path, we are made up of influences. There is nothing called absolute creativity. We are influenced by everything that is happening around us. The calmest person, right, the person who is the most non-reactive, put them in a movie hall, in an action movie, right, and they are cheering. I remember the surprise in my cousins, like, all of us cousins in my childhood. Remember the movie Lagan, right? So we all cousins, we went for that movie, and I was a very quiet child, like not the person you've seen during the conference, etc., or how you see. I never used to talk, I never used to react, never used to express anything, and we were all in this theatre watching Lagan. And then remember that handicapped guy who just hits a 6, and I was just, as if it was a stadium, I was roaring, and clapping and roaring, and somebody had to remind me, this is not a stadium, this is a theatre and it is a movie, please sit. Right? And when I turned around, half of the theatre was like that, shouting and cheering and everything. I hope you remember, most of you would also have seen Lagan in the theatre, like we are all of the same age. That whole sense, and suddenly there is another movie, and the most energetic person would just sit and calmly be contemplative, go out of the theatre and just be quiet for the next half an hour, and people would be wondering whatever happened to this person, a person who is non-stop chattering. Here in this, where mother explains that you're constantly surrounded by influences, and these influences permeate into us, into our being, and they act and react. They act on us, and based on who we are as a person, whatever material is inside us, these influences also react inside us. So, acting and reacting upon us, and thereby our consciousness changes, gets influenced, gets molded. So, and that we do not always remember, that we do not always carry with us, because at that moment of action and reaction of the influence inside us, we are not aware, we are not focused, we have not actually questioned what is this doing inside me. Thereby everyone keeps telling, this is who I am, this is who we are, this is my style of doing it. And in this explanation, mother was just telling, there is nothing called who we are if we remove all the influences. Then how do we choose which influence to take in, which influence to reject? Who I am, can I then control who I am, who I forget who I am, who I was, who I am, and who I will be? If I do not know myself, how will I control myself? And there was this one of the morning messages that had come, where she was, I was trying to look for it, I could not get it. She was saying, as an adult, if you are still a victim, you say, I am like this because of my childhood experiences, childhood reasons, and I am like this because of that, you do not have any excuse of saying it now as an adult, because as an adult you are supposed to be in control of who you are. So you cannot play the victimhood of I can shout, I can get irritated, oh I am sorry, I am short tempered and that is the way I am. If we are conscious enough and we know that getting irritated or snapping at somebody is the wrong thing to do I know from which part of my being, which part of my mind that irritation, that anger, that happiness, that joy, that desire is coming? And the moment we know, we automatically gain control of it. Thereby, the whole way of living is not about just going through life blindly, oh this is who I am, but knowing and controlling. So, then she says about the aim part, when you said I want to be that instrument, the instrument has to be molded. And when she said an aimless life is always a miserable life, the most beautiful thing is, why is it a miserable life, is they asked, the students asked. And she was talking about these people who are happy animalistic beings, okay. So, when we have an aim, we are on a path, right. So, I am starting from point A and going to point B. There is a purpose to life, I have a journey, thereby I am engaged in it. But did you come across a few people who are in general, they do not have any aim, but they are very happy, they are simplistic, they just go through life in this bliss of that blissful calmness. Nothing is affecting them, they are not affecting anything, whatever is coming they are just going. And if you go and ask them, how are you so joyful? They can't answer it. That is what you were saying, they can't answer it, because it is like fish is in water and you are asking the fish, how is the water? I do not know, the water is like, this is my way of being. She is like these happy simplistic, animalistic beings, they just go through life, and if you ask them why are they joyful, they do not know, because that is the way they are. However, how can they progress when they do not know who they are or what they are? Right? And that is why she called them the simple, happy, animalistic beings. But whereas when we have to become consciousness, we have to get out of it and consciously be joyful. And the aim, having an aim in life, is a means of being joyful, and she connects it in a very beautiful way, right. So, I wish I could show it to you, but now imagine there is an aim. Where is the aim coming from? Why is Ramakrishna Garu's aim different, though it is the flavor is the same, to Sir's? Somebody's aim would be, I want to have 10 crores in 3 years, right. Somebody's aim would be, I want to make sure my child studies whatever they want, they have a good, future, I want to send them wherever they want. Somebody's aim would be, I want to make sure my family is safe and secure, that means I have to have a house, I have to have this, etc., right. All of us have those aims. If we would not have those aims, we would not have careers. If we do not have, like, I want to be comfortable, I want to retire and go off, settle in Aurobindo, in Pondi, that means I have to, make sure I have X amount so I can go and retire peacefully, but that is still an aim, right. Why are aims of, if you see people around, why are the aims different?
From where the aim is coming from, if it's a very physical aim, and from like Ramakrishna's and Bridgeability, it's like a higher. They are different.
So, aim, it depends on where it is coming from. Anything else? Why are the aims all different, all of us? Experiences of life.
Evolution, like where are they on the journey, like how nascent is the soul and how grown is the soul?
Where are they in their journey? Mothers, in this, see these articles, she's brought it down to the simplistic levels, right. This is for all materialists, not the spiritualists, okay. So, not like, even if somebody is not on the journey, all of us would have seen, as even today when we see somebody, oh I want to be like that, I want to be you know, what that, even if we are seeing those reels and suddenly, you know, Kohli hits that 6 and everyone is applauding, I want that applause in my life as well, right? There are all those. The first thing is like aim comes from an ideal. We all set these ideals for ourselves based on the influences of our childhood. So each of our aim, when somebody gives us an aim, it talks about what they consider as ideal, right? And an ideal where it is also an enrichment. What is it that I want to enrich my life, and what do I see as an ideal form of that enrichment? An aim is an outcome of these thoughts, right? It is automatically who we are, what we have experienced, but not just what we have experienced, how our experiences have influenced us, how our experiences have molded our thoughts, etc. That is where I want to be. This is where I want to be. I want for some it is the fame, for some it is the material comfort, for some it is emotional well-being, that I don't have to have any worries. I want a life where I don't need to worry about it. So the moment, imagine somebody who does not have the need for enriching their life. Imagine somebody who does not have that ideal thing, an ideal aspiration. Imagine somebody, right, who does not have that aspiration that I want to make my life better than what it is today. And there we see how miserable, whether they know it or not, a life can be, that I am not going after that enrichment. So an aim, automatically when we say I am setting this aim, go back again, my favorite word, question, why? What is my ideal? What is it that I am trying to enrich my life with, from which the aim is coming out? And there she says, once we understand that, go to the next one. Next step, aim always gives us a purpose, gives us that direction, and it gives a meaning to life. We are not just drifting through life. The moment we have, when kids say, hey, I want to be an astronaut, suddenly, you know, kids you see is like, I want to be, like each, depending on where, you know, which stage of life they are in, these answers change. Suddenly they want to be, I want to be a cricketer. I want to, now where is that, I want to be the next Sachin Tendulkar, was one of my daughter's classmates said. Where is it coming from? What is the ideal? Is the ideal the perseverance of the skill that no one else should be as skilled as I am, my skill has to be at that level where I am god of cricket? Or is it say, I want to have, like the answer was not all that. Each deal that, advertising deal that Sachin signs, he is the richest sportsman of, you know, I mean at that point he was the richest sportsman. That is what I want. So there the ideal is not the skill, ideal is not fame, ideal is not it, ideal is the material aspect of money, where the fascination is the wealth aspect. So again, each aim itself can come from a different place, but at least for the child at that point, without the influences, hey, can you think of, he's got that, for him to go there, what is the skill that is needed, what did he do in his childhood do, that again the influence can be molded. And what mother talks about it, it is not about somebody else molding our influences, it is us who we should have the discretion of which influence I should have, which influence I should not, which I can take, which I cannot. Thereby, can just imagine a life without an aim, a life without an ideal, a life without enrichment, a life without a purpose, a life without meaning. And now an aimless life is always a miserable life. And the other day I was discussing with somebody, is like, now at this age I am close to retirement, what aim will I have? This was one of the CFOs of a company that I was talking to, what aim will I have now? And the next day I met another person who's retired. After retirement, or he chose, just before retirement, chose to be out and started his own company. At age of 70 plus, a startup, and he is waiting to work with youngsters. The energy that he has, I don't have it. The amount, the energy to change oneself. What else can I change now? What else can I learn today? Every day coming out. Now everyone, both are at the same stage. And mother had said that it is never too late, and it is not about age, it is about do I have, and even when you are what is called old, when you are quite aged, it is not too late to make an effort to know yourself better. So today my aim is X, tomorrow my aim will be different, irrespective of which sphere, whether I am in a group, whether I am in the society at large, at the level of a country, at the level of the world. My aim can be at any level, but not having an aim is a miserable life. Then she says, every one of you should have an aim, but do not forget that on the quality of your aim will depend the quality of your life. Why did she say that? And there is such a science behind it. I told this to my daughter, who, typical teenager, you give anything spiritual, she says no thank you. You give anything religious, no thank you. You give anything related to anything, the teenagers part is no thank you. But the moment, I mean, I did this science of living workshop for a bunch of teenagers about 3 years back, and it made so much sense to them. 1 week later they call up and say, when is the next part of the workshop? Why? Because they caught this little signs of it. So help me, I mean, what does this, what do you understand by this from your experiences? On the quality of your aim will depend the quality of your life. You are repeating the same sentence in different words. Here, when they asked her, she talked so very well, and I was like, I thought she will give some reason or the other, but this particular reason I was not expecting. Right? Now there is an aim. If I have to achieve the aim, what I have to put in some effort? Yes. What she says is, whenever there is an effort, we are moving out of inertia, right? And this movement out of inertia creates vibrations, right? And the underlying secret is, she has given a long explanation. I will give you the explanations also maybe next time. We are constantly trying to connect with Mother herself, the universal force. Yes, you sit and you just try to concentrate. Anyone who is a beginner in meditation, each time we sit, suddenly we remember something, we are restless, we want to get up and do it. Oh, did I switch it off, or did I do this, did I send that message, did I? So suddenly the brain is restless. It cannot be sitting still, it has to move, right? There is that pull to move, the pull to do. And that is because we are constantly on the physical plane of existence. We are in the whole karma part, the action part, not karma in that, but karma as an action. And each time there is a movement, our movement is creating a vibration. And each time there is a vibration, we are slowly getting connected to the universal forces. And whenever there is an effort, whenever we are creating these vibrations and connection to the universal forces are creating a joy. The outcome, and people mistake, the joy is from the outcome of the desire, outcome of the aim, but no. The moment you have achieved it and you come back home, that day you had a party or you've celebrated, you come back home, next day you're hollow, you're empty. That achievement does not have any more value afterwards. But the whole joy is during, if you observe keenly, the joy is in the effort, the joy is not in the outcome. The joy is not in the aim, the joy is in what you are doing and how you are doing whatever you are doing. And that is why when you are aiming, what is the quality of the vibration your effort is creating? If I am doing something for myself, if I am doing something very limited which is below my potential, just think that you are capable of X amount of effort, but you say no, I will be sufficient with half X. The effort you put in for that particular aim does not create the same amount of joy where you say, yes, I have the potential, very good. Okay, all of you come, some of you come during darshan days and the flower arrangements are already there, right, and you see it, you have a wow, right. Next time come the day before while the flower arrangements are happening, while everyone is actually doing it. Sometime just sit back, I mean this is what I did, sit back and observe how everyone is doing the flower arrangements. Not everyone is actually creating the design. Some are just clearing the leaves from the stems. Some are just going and washing the flowers. Some are just cutting all the stalks to the right length. Each one is doing a different thing. And once you see the energy in how they are doing it, and after they have put it all across and they have done, they sprayed the water and they step back, at that point observe them. The joy is in whether each of the stalks are at exactly the same length or not. The joy for them is making sure the design is not one petal out. The joy is in just handing over the basket of the flowers to Kiran aunty so she can arrange. It is just that. So, whenever it is effort, whether it is material effort, moral effort, intellectual effort, in whatever domain, only effort creates in the being certain vibrations which enable you to get connected with universal vibrations, and it is this which gives joy. And the one thing above all which spontaneously gives joy, even to those who do not practice yoga, who have no spiritual aspiration, who lead quite an ordinary life, is the exchange of forces with universal forces. People do not know this. They would not be able to tell you that it is due to this, but so it is. When we are working, this is what I used to do. Each time there is a drive anywhere, an hour or an hour and a half, the normal thing these days is we either put on music, or we put on a podcast, or we make a call and we start driving. Yes? Anyone who drives, anyone who is traveling, somebody else is driving and we are traveling, whether in the metro or in an auto or etc. How long has it been where you were just sitting without doing anything throughout the drive? If I ask you, can you tell me the exact route and every landmark that you have encountered? Which is the new building which has come up from your house till Bhavan today? How has the route changed from yesterday to today? From last month to today? Are we conscious of it? And there is the secret which mother had said, that when any of us will have to put an effort, why, every day we put effort, but not all effort is joyful, because our concentration, our focus, our energies are scattered. If I am taking an object and putting it in a different place, if I am standing up and going there, can we observe whether our energies are scattered or are focused? Just imagine, like walking from here, how many of us feel the change in textures? Our bhavan is like designed to have different textures in different places. We start from the gates, leave our footwear, walk in, not even aware or not even conscious. The efforts will convert to joy when all our energies are focused on that particular effort. And the concentration and the focus of the energies is when we connect with her force. Oh, I am doing so much, mother, you please be with me. I am so tensed about all this. I am tensed about a particular deadline. I am tensed about a particular outcome. But the joy happens when I can let go and I can feel her connection only when I am not spread out thin, but I am focused. My energies are not divergent, but are convergent in everything that we are doing. So an aim becoming a meaning, giving meaning to our life, giving us purpose in life, happens through these steps. The aim, the efforts we have to put in for that, the vibrations which these efforts create, the quality of the vibrations based on the focus that we have, how much gathered our energies are and how much we are focusing there, and how connected we are to those universal forces. And imagine then reaching from point A to point B, the joy of it. And that in such a way is how our consciousness transforms through all experiences consciously. Over all the efforts which bring you joy, map back the purpose and the aim behind the effort. We can then create an aim with a purpose and create joy through efforts to fulfill the aim. Not unconsciously, but consciously through every single effort. Say for example, he gave this example, but this is true in all of our lives. All of you have had experience with fasting? For some reason or the other throughout our life, at least once we would have fasted. And has there been that kind of bliss in fasting? Or I still remember Shivaratri as a child, and we were supposed to, not Shivaratri as a child, there was some vratam at home and we were all supposed to fast, like before the vratam we could not eat. And the moment it was like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, when can we eat? And we are sitting throughout the puja, right? And the constant, where is the focus? Some smell coming from the kitchen, right? Some sound of the tadka coming from the kitchen, or all the dishes being placed on the table, dining table, or the moment they are put for in front of God for Naivedjam, is like, what is there? Literally, mentally, we are already eating it, tasting it, we are salivating. What is happening in the puja? I am not bothered. What is the instruction? I don't care. My people are hitting us on the focus, do this. No, my mind is there. Now, one of the fasts as an adult, where after understanding the meaning of it, after understanding why the fast is supposed to be, and we are doing it, like that was the one fast which I kept consciously, that I will do it, right? And that day there was no hunger, there was no pull towards the food, right? There was no craving of It's as if the hunger did not exist. And the entire evening meditation and the puja, it just went in that complete consciousness and the joy. And then the moment the tirtham is given and then we are taking, or the moment after like the meditation we come out and do it, and suddenly the quality, the taste and everything is enhanced. What is the difference between these two? All of us have had this, right? Somebody is like, or COVID time, where in childhood, in childhood, summers, every evening there would be power cut, right? We had that experience. So we were in this colony. The moment evening 8 o'clock the power would be cut, there would be simultaneous shouts from all the houses in one go. Why? We used to go out and start playing hide and seek in the darkness. So the moment that power cut that day would not happen, we would be disappointed. Or the power would come early, we would all be disappointed because we have to go back and do our homework. Now, as an adult, suddenly we are all used to happily 24 hours power, and suddenly the power goes. Right? Do we have the same joy? Like now it's like, I can't take the heat even for 10 minutes. We are sweating, the fan has to be there, the inverter has to be there, the battery has to be there, everything. What is the difference? Mother gave this very particular reason, because are you putting the effort by choice, or is the effort a compulsion of the circumstances? Where is the origin of the effort? And that defines the vibration of the effort and the joy the effort gives. I might want, like you see kids studying, and people is like, I have to learn, I have to read, exam is there, so I have to, and suddenly all sorts of aches and pains happen. But some project is given, or they have to give some presentation, or some exhibition is there and they have to do a working model. I used to find these kids working non-stop for 8 hours, 9 hours, and not like forgetting food and everything. And the same kid, you ask them to read for an exam, gone case. Right? And the same thing happens with us also. I want to escape. How many of you go out shopping to escape work at home? I will go to the supermarket to buy groceries, so I do not have to help out with cooking at home, right? That was me classic. I will do everything outside, but not this. But whereas the first time I ever enjoyed cooking was when my daughter, who went off to hostel, came back for the first time, and I was cooking non-stop for a person who is averse to cook. I hate cooking, I never cook, but there it was a choice, a conscious choice, and I was enjoying it so much, it was effortless. That is what she is talking about. No matter, for example, a man sits down to write a book, he makes an effort which sets vibrating something in his brain, and these vibrations in the brain attract ideas. Well, suddenly this man experiences joy. It is quite certain that whatever you do, even the most material work like sweeping a room or cooking, if you make the necessary effort to do this work to the maximum of your ability, you will feel joy, even if what you do is against your nature. And this is constantly what we get. No, I am not that person. I used to tell this constantly. I am not the gharelu person. I can't cook, I can't clean. But then one day I was just looking at her, I was reading Mahasaraswati, and she's like, it is in the detail. I hate, okay, this is a confession, I hate folding clothes. So the moment I get up, folding that bedsheet itself becomes a chore. But suddenly, after reading Mahasaraswati, the eye of the detail, and from that day, the moment I don't fold it, and fold it perfectly, fold it, not just like crumple and put it off, suddenly there is that kind of a joy in making the edges match, in making sure when we put it is like there. So it is the smallest of it. And this is when you realize something, you make quite spontaneously the necessary effort. This concentrates your energy on the thing to be realized and gives a meaning to your life. The spontaneous effort when we realize. Next time you start driving or next time you are in a cab, shut down all distractions, and because this is what I have tried, shut down all distractions, and when you are behind the wheel, be conscious of when you are changing the gear. Be conscious of why you are taking the turn, why you are overtaking, and be conscious, observe the person you are trying to overtake or just the car in front of you, the vehicle in front of you. Suddenly you will see in the very way the car in front of you, the very way the car is moving, you will be able to understand the nature of the person. You will be able to see, oh, this is a very restless person, or this person is in a hurry, right? When you see